Congratulations on making it this far with the Wired Series podcast. I want to take a few seconds and make sure you are seeing the big picture. Please pay attention. You don't want to miss this. Acknowledging who you really are is not something you just discover and then forget about. You must be able to apply what you've learned. Otherwise, it's pointless. Identifying how you are naturally wired is the first step, but now we must focus your attention on naming your behaviors. After all, you cannot manage what you do not acknowledge. That being said, you may have noticed that I have yet to encourage you to take a personality test. Although I appreciate that a test can be a starting point to discovering who you really are, most test takers will either embrace or dismiss the result, depending on their attitude toward it. Some people have taken so many of these tests that they can easily manipulate their answers to receive desired results. In reality, the test itself won't impact your overall well-being. For me, there are so many personality assessments available that it's overwhelming to keep track of all the details surrounding their four-letter identifiers, clever names, and color combinations. Whether the assessment is based on Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, or some other creative way of developing a personality program, they all seem to be based off of the four temperaments. So when creating my podcast, I decided to simplify the process and just use the universal terms of choleric, phlegmatic, melancholy, and sanguine. In the end, I really don't think it matters which assessment you prefer, as long as you know how to apply what you have learned. The goal is to build your awareness so that you can not only properly describe yourself, but also identify specific traits and behaviors in other people. Let me put it this way. I could tell you that I am an ISTJ or a melancholy blend, but if you're not familiar with either of these two assessments, my statement would be meaningless. On the flip side, you may be very well aware of how an ISTJ or melancholy blend is wired. However, this could lead you to make assumptions about me that simply aren't true, since I lack certain melancholy traits, yet possess very specific ones from the other three temperaments. Millions of people are ISTJs and melancholy blends, but that doesn't mean we all think and behave the same way. So you should never assume that you know someone just because you can place them into a specific category. Otherwise, I guarantee that you will end up missing some of the most important aspects of who that person really is. If you and I were in a close relationship, would it be more meaningful to you if I stated that I was a type 6? Or that I am an intense analytical thinker who fears the unknown, loves being productive, and can be quite talkative and sarcastic? I could also tell you that I'm a melancholy blend, but wouldn't it be more beneficial for me to explain that I can't stand it when someone purposely throws me a curveball, complains without the intention of resolving the problem, or acts if he or she is the most important person in the room? The same holds true for you. The more details you share with me regarding how you are naturally wired, the better equipped we would be to properly communicate and relate to each other. Of course, our layers of who we really are run deep, so we must be mindful that we don't know everything about one another, and therefore never act as if we do. Otherwise, we can easily fall into the trap of mislabeling, misunderstanding, or even misjudging. As I started digging into the temperament blends, I discovered behaviors that further define the way I naturally think and behave. This led me to better understand what drives my actions and reactions. As I explained in my podcast, Worried Sick, connecting your traits to your thoughts and behaviors will help build your self-awareness. By exposing you to the words and phrases associated with the four temperaments, my hope is that you have been able to discover several of your dominant traits. These traits can be most apparent when we are frustrated, upset, or when our needs are not being met. Some of you listening may just need to discover that you are perfectly normal. Maybe you have been told or made to believe that something is wrong with you, It is quite possible that you are just being misunderstood, or worse, not being accepted or appreciated for how you are naturally wired. By discovering that your behaviors are actually associated with one or more of the temperament blends, it will hopefully boost your self-confidence and improve your state of mind. Granted, another person's perspective is difficult to change, but at least you will be equipped to accurately define who you really are. So now we have come to the last step in building your word bank so that you can start naming your behaviors. Remember, you cannot manage what you do not acknowledge, so it is vital that you are aware of what drives your actions and reactions. On my website, thriveintherealworld.com, I have posted 4 documents under the Downloads tab, individually titled after each of the 4 temperament blends. The documents are designed so that you can easily place a check mark next to the behaviors that further define you. Even the way you view money, food, and fear is revealed in these documents. I am confident that you will experience some aha moments while reviewing all of the unique behaviors associated with each of the blends. I realize that reading through all the blend descriptions will be a little time-consuming, yet it should be extremely insightful. Not only will a spotlight shine on who you really are, but the ability to identify and name other people's behaviors will be priceless. In my next podcast titled Identifying Your Audience, I will provide you with some very specific examples of exactly what I mean. I encourage you to go the distance and discover the temperament blends. Trust me, the success of your relationships and overall well-being depends on it. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date on my latest podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.